righty. All right, everyone. My name is Travis Flores, and this will be my final presentation for the motivation class. And the topic I'm going to cover is persevering through procrastination and burnout through lifestyle management. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone here is familiar what it feels like to trying to avoid burnout and do procrastination when it comes to trying to take on tasks that obviously make us procrastinate. So, procrastination. Everyone does it. I know I've done that quite a bit myself, a lot this semester and previous times. What is procrastination? Well, it's defined as a state of, mini flow of, things that, I should be doing, but I don't do them, or things I'd like to be doing, but I don't do them. But you go into mini state, and obviously, mini flow state. And obviously, there's a cycle, leads to a vicious cycle of feeling guilty, panic state, making excuses because you keep procrastinating. So, what is procrastination and how do we identify it? So, it's identified as putting off important tasks for something else. You get distracted, you can't concentrate or focus. It doesn't come off interesting. You come off apathetic and see no value and unclear about how to get started. So there's a bit of a perfectionist narcissistic streak dealing with it. There's a feel of failure or regret in terms of putting forth the work and effort and finding conditions to get you going past that action. So, and of course, we have blockages to blame typically for procrastination. Sometimes it feels like we hit a wall, we're trying to scale it, we don't know what to do. And of course, it leads to a huge state of feeling confused and this dealing with this empty void state of like, okay, how do we get past this stagnant state of limbo and somehow able to get past this wall that's obviously hindering us from actually taking on the task that we know we got to take on. So, how do we identify and handle said blockages? Well, as long as you're able to identify that you're in a state of being unsure to handle tasks, you're okay, because at least you know that's a baseline to start with. So, they're usually identified as states of poor influencing conditions. There's a lack of resources. You're not inspired, and once again, perfectionism and being too strict with your standards, and potentially mental and physical exhaustion may hinder the judgment you have about the way you perceive the tasks. It happens. So, burnout. We start feeling fatigued when we start feeling exhausted, overworked. We begin to feel disengaged. Sorry, I'm a little tired. There's a lack of energy, motivation, volition, and sometimes stress and burnout go hand in hand in terms of being overengaged, and of course, it drains you physically, which will eventually get to you emotionally, and vice versa. There's a mind-body problem to consider that. So what is burnout and how do we deal with it? How do we identify these states? Well, they're identified as states of lack of energy, lack of sleep, too much stress, too much workload and effort, not enough compensation and rest. And of course, it feels like you're not doing enough. You feel unfulfilled. And of course, there's a state of denial in terms of your values and neglecting your needs, which eventually lead to poor health habits and psychosomatic complaints. You feel headaches, exhausted, tired, heavy. You feel just unmotivated. You lack volition. So we have identified so far energy and rest as the obvious tokens that are valuable in our commodity here. So they obviously help us to recover from work and stress, help us to unwind, take break from the tasks, and come back refreshed. Be able to look at these tasks with a new perspective. So obviously, in terms of physical and mental rest, there's also creative, emotional, spiritual, social, and sensory in terms of being able to manage ourselves holistically. So we have to wonder ourselves, how can we gain access by augmenting those values? And obviously time and resources have a lot to do with being able to do that. So how can we partition and distribute our time and resources effectively? How can they be used to help conserve the energy and be used effectively for gains? In other words, within those constraints, how can I creatively improvise within my means, despite the lack of a ceiling funding as well as limits on my effort and abilities? So we start making a list of ideas, and some ideas, of course, make a Swiss cheese list effect. Of course, you can use that for the effects wheel, the mental maps that you've seen on the picture here. Because even though you're making a list, it doesn't feel like you're doing anything, but you're getting momentum. You're making progress. There's less things to worry about, less things to do, because at least you're already able to identify affordances and outcomes to readjust your list based on those task values. So at least things are being identified. You're able to pinpoint certain things. And so far, having used this Swiss cheese tool, we're able to. I was able to identify a few things that were obviously valuable in terms of rest and energy. So obviously, work. There's a workflow in terms of being able to achieve that. Work obviously has an effect on production, which has an effect on compensation, which has an effect on rest, which you obviously can be able to use towards work. So how can I be able to use these benefits toward my advantage in an effective cycle? Now, personally, I like to do what is called use what is called the 5 C's of continuity. Keeping track of your time to reorder your tasks, as well as knowing your marginal proportions when to identify them. So there's continuity, contiguity, contingency, consistency, and constants. And I use this little tool to help identify, the marginal proportions of how much time a task takes, as well as how much energy and effort the whole volume takes to accomplish these tasks. So first of all, effort's obviously something we need to keep in mind as well to conserve our energy. So I came across this tool called the Pareto principle, which basically talks about how less is more. 20% of effort is only needed for 80% of production. Work smart, not hard. Dial it down. Don't overstrive. Don't overdo it, because it's counterproductive. Because effectiveness is far more important than profoundness and flashiness, because we just basically want to get the job done. We want effective, quality results. Productivity. So we had to delegate our tasks and our energies and judgments effectively. So we do that through affordances and principle of least effort. Sounds like some behavioral economics, like top-down, bottom-up processing, bottleneck theory. Basically, affordances are costs people are willing to make. People are willing to use little effort for bigger gains. So conserve energy to reap the benefits of those gains, because they have to see value behind executing those costs of those tasks when they delegate as to when to actually and how to actually execute those tasks. So how do we do that? Well, a suggestion is break the task down into smaller components. Take the bigger and challenging tasks, make them easier, make the tasks more manageable and easier to be productive, make them accessibly feasible. There's obviously levels of progression, a bit of a progressive overload for some super compensating effect. And I know that's some fitness jargon and stuff like that. That's some stuff we use in fitness, but the idea, however, is to break the task down into easier, smaller components for better effective gains. So we rearrange our task order by urgency and demand priority. We put the higher priority comes first, and of course, due dates that are sooner come first. The later ones go last. So we delegate our time by time and difficulty. We had to consider the sequencing of those tasks that benefit everything. It's kind of like schedules of reinforcement and periodization. They're about the same thing. The last one's towards fitness, but based on specific skills being a condition. So what happens when we feel tired and bored? I suggest change the pace, switch tasks. Because if you're tired, take a nap. Or you're bored, change the channel, do something different. Go to the gym, go for a walk, listen to some music, watch a movie, television, read a novel, comic. Focus on explaining those energies. If you're on a downward curve, try to see if you can slump back up somehow, and vice versa. Use that learning curve effectively somehow. So, how can we use rest effectively? It's like this proverb I heard, sharpen your axe at rest so you can cut down more trees, because a dull axe uses more effort and energy to cut them down. So we had to use that time productively to inspire and recover, focus on areas that haven't been used to support used areas. I like to think about fitness in terms of eccentric phases, like hanging off. Just let gravity do the work, the force of nature, save your energy. And in yoga, it's just sinking into a form. That's all it's all pretty much revolves around that. Save your energy. And last but not least, go at your own pace. Mind your limits. It's like Miller's Law, magical number 7 plus or minus 2. Keep the amount of information of your tasks delegated to a very small amount, because I'm getting older. It's hard to keep track of stuff, too many priorities. Zone of proximity, a magical middle, know your limits, listen to your body. If you can't do it, don't do it. If you need to rest, take a break, map out your energy, effort, workload, time frame. And of course, tell yourself you got this because you know you can do it. And that's pretty much about it, y'all. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. I know it was very quick. I also enjoyed spending time with everyone in this class this past semester. It's been very enlightening. It's also been very beneficial for my overall holistic outlook as well as practice and everything. So I appreciate the your feedback and everything else so far, and wish you all happy holidays and all that other good stuff. So have a good one, y'all.